What the fuck is up? To the 0 people who are watching this, besides myself, probably. Just wanted to check in with an update because, I mean, you're probably watching this in second or third video posted, but just wanted to have a moment of honesty and accountability, and also just let go of some of these thoughts that I got going on right now. So I had originally said that I was gonna do a video every day. That obviously didn't happen, and in large that was essentially because I was upset with the results I was getting, and in general it's just been like a difficult period of life, and I think that my emotions have been making it more difficult to stay committed to what it is that I want to commit to. But I'm definitely not giving up, and I still think that this whole venture is worthwhile. So that's just an update on that. What I've been thinking about today has largely been about values and principles, and how principles are definitely the best ways that you can make decisions off of, like, valuing principles at the highest. And the reason that is because principles essentially are unchanging. Like, if you think about it in terms of like the relationships you have in your life, principles would be equivalent to your family, right? But in the aspect where it's awesome is that you can actually like change your principles and you can evolve them to fit your needs. But essentially I've been reading 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and it's such like a cliche book, almost, it feels like sometimes, because it's so popular. But actually going through and reading it, it's like pretty incredible how clearly certain aspects of life are defined and laid out, and like it's easy to make sense of it. And I was just reading this one chapter that was about the different values that drive people's life. So there's like people who are family driven, there's people who are like relationship driven, like their spouse drives their decisions, there's people who are pleasure driven, there's people who are work driven, there's people who are self driven, and all these are kind of not so dynamic, where life is, there's so many different situations that will happen in life, and you kind of have to change hats for the right kind of situation. But when you have a principally focused value system, then it allows you to maintain those principles while kind of dynamically operating. And essentially what that helps you do is be clear about why you made a decision, and you can be happy with the decision you made and enjoy how things unfold after that happens. And just looking at my life, just to be like blunt and honest, I guess, like I think that for me, I was looking at it and realizing that a lot of my decisions were based on pleasure, and pleasure is such a fleeting thing that it can be very damaging to life in general, because you can basically kind of begin to you essentially are valuing something that doesn't give long-lasting positive results. And so that was just like a big sort of like realization. It's like something that you kind of know, but then you really look at it in terms of all the other things that drive people, and you realize, wow, like this is pretty fucked, you know. And like a lot of situations in my life kind of led me to, like, I got lucky in a way that necessarily didn't benefit me long term, because it allowed me to live off of values that didn't serve me long term, and that worked for an extended period of time. And now I'm in a situation where that's no longer gonna really work, and I have to like really take inventory and reevaluate things and evolve my values to be something that is more aligned with what it is that I actually want from life. And that's been a profound realization for me. And the thing is that you know, like, this is literally just, this awareness is just step one, and it's probably just going to get harder from here. But it kind of ties into this podcast I was listening to with Joe Rogan and Jelly Roll the other day. And if you don't know who Jelly Roll is, he's like a country music artist who was like super fat and addicted to food for the majority of his life. And you know, he had all the success or whatever, but it got to a point where he was about to turn 40 and he was like 500 pounds, and he realized, damn, like, I'm literally gonna fucking die if I don't like get rid of this food addiction. And so he went through this whole process of discovering, you know, why he's addicted to food and the different changes he went through. But essentially what like he was expressing throughout the whole podcast is a value system change. And then, you know, he's a very emotional person, and him kind of telling his story was a embodiment of that value system evolution. And honestly, just like a very inspiring, heartwarming story about somebody who essentially like did it, you know. Because one of the hardest things to do in life is to change and evolve your identity. And if you don't do that yourself, then life circumstances will force you to do that. And you got to be proactive about how you change and evolve. And that's something that I certainly have not been doing. And like I said, now I'm in this situation where you know, the values that I was operating off of can't continue to be the ones. So it's going to be an everyday battle, or not a battle, but an everyday, you know, conscious effort to make these changes in my decision making. But I'm here for it, and I'm going to do it. And one last thing that I'll leave you with that has been a profound sort of realization and like thing in my path has been realizing that the hard thing is often the right thing to do, and is far more gratifying and will bring you happiness. And like the example that was used in this video was Jelly Roll was talking about like the first day he decided like, okay, I'm actually gonna like lose all this weight. And he like climbed this hill, and he was like, fuck, I don't want to climb the hill. And then long story short, he climbed the hill and was like very happy afterwards. But you know, Joe Rogan basically said like you like, happiness isn't easy. It's like, it's about doing the hard thing. And when you're doing something hard, there's this moment, there's a very specific moment, and it's the most powerful moment in life. I really feel like what, or one of the most powerful moments, where it's like you're at this point where you can make the decision that you normally would make, or you can do the difficult thing. And there's this moment when you choose to do the difficult thing, and then sometimes it takes a second, but there's this moment when you get over the fact that you're doing the difficult thing and you start doing it. And then once you start doing it, it feels normal. It doesn't feel like that resistance kind of goes away, and then you're just going about your life, you know? But there's this hurdle that you have to pass. And once you get over that hurdle, it's an extremely liberating feeling and moment, because you're essentially transcending an old pattern and you're finding joy in doing something that is the most beneficial for you. And I've really, like, you know, you experience it in your life, like when you really start to do this, and you start making these hurdles, and then you start to feel really good. It's amazing. And then as you keep going, then, you know, it feels good, and then it starts to feel less good maybe, or you just get tired, you get exhausted, or you're angry, or you're dealing with some sort of emotion that is like making it more difficult to continue to do that right thing. And through my experience, I've kind of like noticed that it's not like I said, it's an everyday conscious effort, and you have to continue to keep doing it. And that's the hard part. And forcibly making yourself continue to do it is one way to do it. But what I realized first is like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I want to actually want to do it, right? And if I'm forcing myself to do it, then all of a sudden it you start to negatively associate doing the hard thing with like forcing yourself, and you lose this flow in life. And I feel like if you just take a moment, and before you give up on doing that hard thing, you find a space within yourself to create some sort of positivity, and then you try again. Not only will you be able to approach that moment with more clarity and positivity, I just think it makes the whole process easier and more joyful. And that's like when you really start to gain momentum. And it's all about momentum. You know, like life kind of comes in with different kinds of obstacles, and a lot of times when you're starting out, life just throws you, like, you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then life will just throw you like a shitstorm right there. And those are the moments where it's like, okay, now it's extra hard to do what I really want to do. Like, it's not easy, but if you can really dedicate yourself and commit and go through those initial moments when your life is throwing bullshit and you're just starting and you're like, fuck, then later on it becomes easier to do it. And if life doesn't do that, then great, but you have to keep doing it. You know, you just have to keep pushing. Keep pushing. That's literally, you know, it's a full circle moment, because that's what I titled the first video, is keep pushing. You just gotta keep fucking pushing. And I just think in life now, like, fuck, like, there's so many distractions, so many things that are bringing you down. It's easy to just like not keep pushing, or it's easy to push in the wrong direction. And there's so much deceptiveness, there's so much distractions, and the paradigms of life are just like shifting beneath our feet. And I think now more than ever, aggregating the right information. Look at this fucking guy. This motherfucker's on a horse. Look at him go. What the hell? All right, that's something new. You gotta just fucking keep pushing, and I think now more than ever, people need to understand the playing field that we're playing on, because there's so much bullshit, and people need to really take a good look at their values and the paradigm of the world we live in, because all that shit gets blown over so much now. And we need to be grounded in the values that drive us, and the map of the playing field that we're playing on, because life is just so fucking weird now, and just getting lost in the sauce is normal. It's the norm. So I've been lost in the sauce, admittedly, a lot, but I've also had some very profound experiences that I think give me a unique perspective on life. And I would love to get grounded in my own sauce and also share these emerging paradigms, and hopefully people can relate to it and maybe find some value in what it is that I'm experiencing. So that's what I want to share today. And yeah, I think that just for like my personal note taking, like I want to take these unique things that I'm learning about and share them, so it could be like an expansive perspective. Like one thing that I think is interesting, of course, is like aliens, and then you have like politics and geopolitics and governments and all this stuff, and then combine an expansive perspective with a grounded value in a piece of content. I think that would be cool, because people are always like fiending to discover new novel perspectives or new novel information that will shift their view of how the world is operating. But if you attach a value to that, then I think it's going to help assimilate that into people's lives much more than just a fucking barrage of bullshit, which is kind of what it is right now. It's just you're constantly getting barraged by so much bullshit. And for me personally, I need to take a step back from taking in more information and focusing on the information that I've already like learned over the years and haven't really integrated. So I think that's how I want to end off my year, is like I'm just shutting off all the streams of bullshit. I'm going to consume books and long form content like podcasts, and I'm going to make content, and I'm going to focus on my trading and my fitness, my health, and my diet. And that's just what it's going to be. And hopefully, well, I know for a fact if I do that, then it's going to benefit me tremendously. And at this point, it's a matter of commitment here. So that's what this video is about, is me being honest and me committing to myself to share what it is that I'm finding for myself with other people, and living that and doing that. So I just got some food and I'm about to bring it in, Got a bunch of yummy food, so I'm stocked up for about a week, and should be some pretty good shit. Yeah, man, there's conversations to be had. There's things to be expressed, and there's commitments to be followed. So I'm going to follow those commitments, and I'm gonna be aware of those moments, those powerful moments when it's time to make the choice to do what I know is right and get over that hurdle. And if I'm having difficulty getting over that hurdle, then I'm going to take a step back, find some positivity, find some gratitude, find some clarity, and then I'm going to keep fucking pushing. And that's it. Just keep pushing. That's all we can do. So, yeah, hope everyone who sees this had an amazing day, and they can find a moment of clarity and positivity and gratitude, and they can identify one moment in the day where they do the hard thing that's the right thing, and they can push through that and fucking feel the power of getting past that hurdle and continue to push. Just continue to push those P's, and yeah, man, that's it for today. But peace out. Top of the morning, everybody. We're back again. It is 6:16. I was up at 5 this morning, and we're ready to go. So, start out by checking out the SPY. We are approaching this purple line, which is resistance. There's actually interesting aftermarket, kind of sold off into the end of market, then kind of just like continued to grind downwards, and then we had a huge move back up. So we're technically actually gapping up, which is interesting. Same thing here with Qs. In the video yesterday, if you remember, we were looking at this. Let me go to the hour chart 1 second. Sorry. We were looking at this downwards trend line. Yesterday it broke that, and now it's kind of now it's hitting this resistance right here that it's hit 1, 2-ish, 3 times. So that's gonna be something that needs to work through. Meta doing all right. Google really didn't do much yesterday. I was kind of surprised. I thought it'd be better, but we're kind of just sitting below this resistance, so we'll see if it could break that. Change it to blue. That's the pivot. If it breaks that pivot, it's got a decent amount of room up here. What is that? 317 to 324. Yeah, so about 7-8 points of room. Tesla's moving pretty in sympathy with the market, so just more aggressive, obviously, but not seeing anything crazy there. Amazon, the VIX. This is honestly probably the most interesting chart. So yesterday we came down here and then had this pop. I shorted off of this pop, and now we're coming to test that again. So we're gonna see what happens here. I mean, I think initially off of this it'll probably pop, so that'll be a good trade. And yeah, I'll check back in. It's 6:19, so 10 minutes till market opens. I'm just gonna do my charting, get my price levels and pivots ready, and take a little bit of a deeper look at these EMAs, see how we're doing, and I'll check back in. All right, so we are 13 minutes into open. I took a couple little trades on paper, got these SPY contracts. I picked up 3 of these and then just sold 1 at top tick. My stop is at entry now, and I'm just gonna hold these, or at least one of them. I'm gonna hold one of them past like here. I'll hold 1 and just probably sell it up here. Right now I'm looking at to get into Qs. We're gonna wait for the orb to form and then look for an entry somewhere around here. Qs are looking pretty good today. I grabbed Tesla
here, and I just have one contract I'm kind of holding. Getting a little bit more skeptical of it now. It was supposed to be a little scalp, but held on to it. Probably should have sold it here at Top Kelp and moved on, but yeah, whatever. VIX is still looking interesting. We went up and hit that 50 EMA. So definitely keeping an eye on this. I think this is the most interesting chart for me right now. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that, and I'll check back in if I get in these cues and get the entry I want somewhere around here. All right, guys, this will probably be the last update for trading of the day. Honestly, I had a pretty bad day trading. I'll show this screenshot. You know, I was kind of all over the place, and ended up just kind of like fucking myself over by adding a little too much, and then yeah, kind of just not fully. Okay, so the biggest issue actually was this trade was good right here. I was above my target for the day when we hit this point, and I didn't sell, which is against my rules. And then after that, it just kind of got bad. Fortunately, I caught a nice little put right here, so we're writing it down, and I think I'll still hit my target. But overall, like, you know, once one rule was broken, it was kind of just a cascade effect. So it's better just never to break a rule and think about the process rather than the result. Alrighty, guys, so a little pre-market action. I'm just looking at the SPY here. So if we zoom out, this was the recent scare we had with the AI bubble and tariffs or whatever. But as you can see, we're pretty much printing a big old flag, and it doesn't seem like that's really going to break out today. So we've been trading in this range. We're following this bottom trend line, and you can see here this giant red candle. This is actually before open, and I'm pretty sure what caused this is Microsoft made an announcement that they're lowering their sales quotas for AI products because no one wants to buy them right now, and they say yet. So obviously that screams AI bubble because they're spending billions of dollars on all this build out, and no one wants their AI. Honestly, kind of makes sense. So that's where we're at with that. But yeah, I don't think that the market is going to crash. There's all this talk about the yen. Market just opened, and we're right here at the bottom. I'm going to say that it might dip a little bit below, but I'm pretty sure that we're just going to trade in between here and here today. So that's kind of my thesis, my plan. And I'm going to grab some contracts right now because I think we're going to bounce. So give me a second. So a little post morning session update. I did end up taking that trade off of the lows, and I mean, obviously it was a good trade, but just some notes about the execution of it, because today is one of those days where we're in a tight range. You know, like we're basically from here to here, which is 4 points of range, really not much on SPY. And on days like that, the premium on the contracts just gets sucked right out of it. So when I bought the contract, I got two right here, and on this initial jump, it was like up to 80% of my daily target. And I mean, obviously I held it because I was expecting it to pop all the way back up here, but you know, that was going to take a lot longer than initially thought. So you know, we went through this whole journey, and when it got up here, I ended up rolling, and that roll was just whatever. But I also ended up taking some Q contracts, and this one was just horrible. I bought it right here and sold it all the way up here. Guess how much I made on that contract? $9 fucking dollars. So that was trash, right? So this ended up kind of like fucking me, honestly. But anyways, yeah. So overall, I mean, successful trade, but the execution just wasn't good on days like this with a tight range, and I pretty much knew it was gonna bounce around in this range. Just sell into the fucking pops and scalp. You know, small size, sell into the pops, scalp it, and just don't get too caught up in markets like this. You know, just take your little wins and move on. But anyways, I'm pretty much there for my target today. Like I said, I think it's gonna be range bound, so I do plan on taking maybe one more trade, and that trade is gonna be up here. We've hit resistance up here. One, I mean, you can't really count that, but two, I guess this line, actually, maybe I'll extend that because we're there right now. But yeah, like I'm basically only gonna take some puts up here, super small size, and just sell into any pop. I don't want to be investing my attention in this market for the rest of the day. So I think that, like, you know, because of the way that the market's going, it could end up getting up here and kind of bouncing around in this area for some time before it gets denied. But I I'm skeptical of it breaking this level. But if it does break that level, it's going to be a quick move. So we'll see on that. But if we extend this line, we basically have 2 more sessions, it looks like, before this whole deal picks. Oh no, 2 more sessions before this whole flag picks a direction. I was watching FX Evolution. If you never watched him, he makes a great daily video, and they're doing the statistics of bullish days in the first week of December, and usually Wednesday is the low of December, and then you get that Christmas rally starting. So I'm just expecting that, you know, boom, we hit this low from, you know, essentially the first 2 days we've been in this range, and then Thursday, Friday, hopefully we get a breakout and get some nice volatility. Another thing that I've been paying attention to more, I'll go to the hourly chart, is the VIX, the VXX. So I showed this previously, but you know, we haven't been at these lows for a very long time. You can go back over a year, and it hasn't been at these lows. So this is gonna be a pretty tough level to break. I mean, we've already been kind of breaking it. So I've just been kind of fucking around with some Fibonacci retracements and seeing where we can go from here. But these are the first 2 levels. I don't know how much price range that equates to on SPY, but I guess we'll see. And it looks like we are getting into top tilt, but I'm gonna be patient here and wait. I just, with the way things are going, I don't know if it's gonna immediately get denied, but you know, I think definitely taking puts here is a safe play. It's just, if I take it here and it ends up bouncing around here, the premium's gonna get so cooked that it probably won't be in the money till, you know, we get down here. So I think I'm just gonna wait a little bit, maybe 20 to, what is it? It's 8:40, so maybe I'll grab them around 9. But yeah, that's basically the update for today. Slow days, range bound, size down, sell into pops. Yeah, just try to do little scalps and then find other opportunities in the market, right? But right now my plan is I'm just focusing on Qs and SPYs for this month and just being consistent with that. So far it's going pretty good. Yeah. Good morning. December 4th. Market just opened up, and so we're gonna look at what's going on here. So SPY, it opened up right at the top of that channel and got denied so far. So notable. Another one I'm watching today is Google. It looked like it was trying to break out of that channel on market open. That failed, so now it's testing the 50. And then last interesting one is the VIX. It has broken down all those supports and has just been riding that 13 EMA. So yeah, just a steady downtrend. Yeah, and SPY is just pretty range bound right now, so we'll see if we can get a breakout. It might make things a little more interesting, but there is a decent amount of range to the downside if there is no breakout, so we'll see.